Hey guys, Tarke here. Firstly, let's just apologise for the darkness. My light is making a weird buzzing noise, so I've had to turn it off. So, we're here with the first Legion class preview series, which is the Hunter. So what we're going to do is I'm going to read through it with you, give my impressions where they're due, and give a brief summary at the end. This is completely fresh. I've scrolled through, I haven't really read it, so this will be my first impressions, so be warned, and apologies for any slip-ups. Let's go. So, welcome to our World of Warcraft Legion series. Already messed it up. In this entry, we're exploring the Hunter. To find out what's in store for a different class, check out the overview, blah, 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 blah. We began our early look at class and specialization design with the Hunter. In these blogs, we'll be exploring class identity, discussing Legion's new design, and presenting core combat abilities for each specialization, laying out a foundation upon which talents and artifacts will build further. With that in mind, we'll delve into what it means to be a Hunter in World of Warcraft. In many ways, Hunter design in Legion embodies our key philosophies for class change. Hunters of a strong core fantasy. They're masters of tracking prey, experts at sniping enemies with bows and guns from a distance, tamers of wild beasts and trappers of unsuspecting foes. The challenge with the Hunter class on WoW is that for the most part, while all three specs deliver that basic fantasy, the distinction between them is fairly minimal. In Legion, we're focused on better differentiating these specializations to deliver more dynamic and varied experience. And we see lots of little pets. Cool. Beast Mastery. Among the most gifted hunters, there are those who have from birth felt a profound bond with the creatures of the wild. These beast masters are drawn to the perilous primal world, invigorated by its dangerous and untamed nature. Primitive landscape became home. Ferocious predator became kin. Whether in the thrill of the hunt or the heat of battle, Beastmasters call forth a litany of vicious animals to overwhelm prey and gnaw at their enemies' will. Pretty cool. Gameplay. Beastmasters were already in a good place overall, but we've refined existing abilities and talents to better differentiate them from other hunters. Previously, Cobra Shot filled all of your free moments in combat, leaving no time for managing your pet, which should be a defining characteristic of Beastmasters. To this end, and to aid in focus accumulation, Dire Beast is now core to Beast Mastery, allowing you to repeatedly summon wild beasts that generate additional focus for you through every attack. Okay, I quite like that. That is GG. To give you an idea of the Beastmaster Hunter in action, here's a basic look at their core combat abilities. Cobra Shot, 30 focus, 40 yard, instant. Oh, they've made it instant now. Okay. A quick shot that causes moderate physical damage. That's basically replaced Arcane Shot. Dire Beast, 40 yard, instant 10-second cooldown. Summon a powerful wild beast to attack your target for 8 seconds. Each time the beast deals damage, you'll gain 4 focus. Summoning a beast reduces the remaining cooldown of Bestial Wrath by 15 seconds. Okay, so we've got pretty good synergy there in between this and Bestial Wrath. So obviously it promotes good uptime because it gets you more focus, which increases your damage, and it reduces your cooldown, so that's pretty good. It looks like you will not have a filler ability though, so you won't be casting Cobra Shot as before. You'll be waiting for more cooldown and focus based gameplay, so we'll have to see if there are any talents which generate additional focus. Kill Command, 20 focus, 25 yard range from pet, instant 6-second cooldown. Okay, so they've reduced the focus cost, I believe. Give the command to kill, causing your pet to instantly inflict strong damage to its target. Wild Call, passive. Your critical strikes have a 30% chance to reset the cooldown of Dire Beast. Okay, so that will be quite an interesting proc gameplay. Crit is going to be your new go-to stat, and yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. And I wonder if you'll be able to have multiple beasts out at the same time. So if it procs, you cast it again. If you'll keep the other beast, or if it'll replace. I'm assuming you ought to keep, and that might be quite amusing when you suddenly, in the space of like 10 seconds, have 30 beasts out. No, that's cool. That is definitely recapturing the fantasy. Mastery. Master of Beasts. Increase the damage done by your pets by 45% with Mastery from typical gear. Additionally, to provide a glimpse at how some talents may build upon this, here's one example of a Beast Mastery specific talent. Way of the Cobra, passive. For every pet or guardian you have active, Cobra Shot deals an additional 5% damage. So yeah, this definitely synergizes how I suggested, where if you get loads of cooldown resets, you'll get this increasingly ramped up damage. That may prove a little overpowered in some circumstances, where if you get the perfect RNG, not only do you have the increased DPS of having 5 pets out instead of, say, 2, you'll also have that extra multiplier on top. So, you know, that's pretty interesting. Survival. Right, this is the one we're all really hyped for. Melee hunters for the win. While all hunters feel a calling to the wild, some serve as a reflection of its brutality. To them, the hunter is defined by unrelenting ferocity, where survival means facing one's enemies eye to eye, and is always accompanied by merciless bloodshed. Weapons of great range are abandoned for instruments of close quarters combat. Survival hunters are instinctive and crafty on the prowl, employing loyal beasts and laying deceptive traps to see their enemies undone. For these hunters know that to truly understand what it means to survive, one must first become familiar with the cruel face of death. Gameplay. Not only do survival hunters use melee weapons instead of ranged weapons, they are also now the only hunters that make use of traps. Okay. That'd be interesting in PvP. Other specs will receive forms of crowd control and AoE damage due to their distinct characteristics. So they might just get, like, instead of Frost Trap, Frost Arrow, maybe, for Marksman and stuff. We'll have to see how that works out. Survival hunters will snare and bleed their enemies, fighting them in close quarters with their trustworthy companion to maximize the brutality of the hunt. They have no direct control over focus regeneration, but instead pull it up during successive mongoose bites, coming back boys, to further amplify the damage they inflict. Here's a basic look at the core combat abilities for survival hunters. Harpoon, death grip basically. 5 to 40 yard range, instant 15-second cooldown. Hurl a harpoon at your target and pull yourself towards them. Root them in place for 3 seconds. Oh, so it's... Oh, everyone thought that hunters were getting death grip. No, we're getting reverse death grip. Okay, no, that's interesting. Okay. That's going to be really annoying if you're a tank in 5 bands and the hunter's like charging before you even get there. That'd be fun. Raptor Strike, 20 focus, melee range, instant. A vicious slash, again slash, so we can assume that the animation will be a sweeping one, dealing moderate physical damage. Laceration, 35 focus, melee range, instant, 10-second cooldown. Okay, so this is going to be our like big thing. Terror Wound in the target, dealing heavy damage for 12 seconds. Developer comment, we promise it will do good damage. Mongoose Bite, melee range, instant, 10-second recharge, 3 charges. Okay, that'd be quite interesting. A brutal attack attempting to sever the enemy's limbs, dealing strong physical damage. Each consecutive Mongoose Bite dealt within 3.5 seconds of the last will deal 50% increased damage, stacking up to 6 times. Okay, the fact they've said that implies that we'll have a way to reset the cooldown because it stacks up to 6 times and you only have 3 charges. Flanking Strike, 20 focus, 25 yard range from Pet. Instant 6-second cooldown. Give the command to kill, causing your pet to instantly inflict strong damage to its target. Where have I heard that before? Give the command to kill. 25 yards from Pet. Okay, so it's either that's a typo or that's a renamed kill command, but anyway. Wing Clip, 30% focus, instant, maims the target, reducing their movement speed by 50% for 15 seconds. I would have preferred if Wing Clip was free and had a cooldown, but oh well. Mastery, Hunting Companion. Your pet's attacks have a 20% with Mastery for typically a chance to grant you an additional charge of Mongoose Bite. So yeah, as I said before, the way that it seems the gameplay will work is quite similar to a Rogue, where you'll be pooling up very high amounts of energy for your like particular burst phases instead of getting combo points as well. It's just you save up your Mongoose Bite charges, maybe wait if you have like some Mastery procs. I'm not sure if it will just continue to chain add on additional charges, or if it will just cap at 3. If it always caps at 3, that means the gameplay will want you to always be at 2, that way you won't waste Mastery procs, but anyway. So you would purposely pull up, then you keep your Laceration on cooldown, obviously, because it's just a powerful bleed, and then you go really hardcore with the Mongoose Bite spam. And then we want as much attack speed on our pet as possible, if there are any talents which improve that, because obviously, you know, it gives us more chances at a reset. So pets will be very important, and hopefully the pet UI is getting sub-improvements because it's core to our mastery. But the fantasy is very much there. Good job. Additionally, to provide a glimpse at how some talents may build upon this, here's an example of one of their survival-specific talents. Snake Hunter, instant 1-minute cooldown, instantly grants you 3 charges of Mongoose Bite. Basically, this is your burst talent. We'd have to see what else is in the tier, but it seems pretty good. A little disappointed that we are going for a bleed rather than a poison, since we have a lot of like snake-themed abilities. or maybe I just instinctively think of Snake Trap when I think of survival. We'll be interested if we have any poison kind of stuff. Preacher made a video about how he'd want like an Oberon-esque style survival hunter, just loads of poisons and spears. Personally, I think that would also be pretty cool, but anyway, let's go on to Marksman. Marksmanship. Marksmen too shroud themselves in the perils of the untamed wilds, perfecting the use of weapons that are the deadliest from great range. They've maintained a little interest, however, in gaining the loyalty of the many beasts inhabiting these cruel landscapes. Instead, the marksman blends into the surrounding environment, surveying behaviour of all manner of predator and gleaning deadly methods for stalking their own prey. A sniper in hiding, the marksman unleashes arrows and bullets with deadly precision, exposing the weakness in whoever or whatever passes through their crosshairs. So yeah, I like the way they've themed it, because we all knew that they were losing their pets, so I think that's a good touch and a good way of doing it. Gameplay. The Lone Wolf gameplay introduced in Walls of Draenor proved extremely popular with hunters, because of the UI, I'm assuming. Bad AI, even. And that playstyle fit perfectly with our vision of marksmanship hunters as master archers and snipers, relying on their skill and precision with weapons rather than animal companions. All marksmanship hunters now gain Lone Wolf by default, ranging through the wilds without a pet beside them. On the resource front, the marksman now gains focus from the use of Arcane Shot, and as a note for those who enjoyed previous versions of survival gameplay, we have moved certain abilities such as Black Arrow and Lock and Load to marksmanship specific talents. Okay, so they've basically combined the core elements of the old school survival and marksman. I think that was quite a good move, because there were a lot of people who were quite upset to be missing out on something like Lock and Load, and to bake that into marksman I think is quite a good idea. Although I doubt we'll see Explosive Shot coming back, I'm afraid. Here's a basic look at the core combat abilities for marksmanship. Arcane Shot, 40-yard range, instant. A quick shot that causes moderate arcane damage and generates 5 focus. Now, the fact that it is instant and there's no sense of cooldown, this will just be spammed. Hopefully it's more of a low to moderate than moderate damage, because otherwise this will be really powerful in PvP. Especially low-level PvP, but that's beside the by even. Seek Vulnerability is passive. Targets hit by your Arcane Shot and multi-shot have a chance to be marked with Hunter's Mark for 6 seconds. Okay. I wonder if that will still stop stealth. Anyway. Mark Shot, 30 focus, 40-yard range, channeled. Rapidly fires a shot at up to 3 targets affected by Hunter's Mark, dealing strong physical damage, usable while moving, and exposes vulnerability in the target, snaring them by 15%, and increasing aim shot damage done to the target by 25%. Lasts 10 seconds, and stacks up to 3 times. Wow, so if you can get the full channel off, you'll increase the aim shot damage by 75% for 10 seconds. And that doesn't have a cooldown, it just has a focus cost. So your core rotation will be about maintaining this buff, I imagine. So you spam Arcane Shot and multi-shot to apply Hunter's Mark onto your foes. Once you've got Hunter's Mark up, that'll be like your opener. You then do your Mark Shot, get your debuff up, start chaining aim shots, chain a few Arcane Shots to refresh your Hunter's Mark, because that only lasts 6 seconds, go back into a Mark Shot. So you can get quite a good idea of how the rotation's going to work. That's interesting. Aim Shot, 50 focus, 40-yard range, 1.5 second cast. A powerful aim shot deals strong physical damage. So they keep in the cast, but I'm assuming they will have something later on which reduces the cast time. Mastery Sniper Training. Critical strike damage at range of all shots is increased by Okay, so are they just making that flat, or they're keeping the current model where you need to stand still? I'm assuming they've cut that, because a lot of people really didn't like that gameplay. Additionally, to give you an idea of how some talents may build upon this, here's an example of one of their marksmanship specific talents. Lock and Load passive. Oh, never mind. Attach an explosive charge to aim shot, dealing strong additional fire damage to the target and all enemies within 4 yards. Very cool. I'm glad the explosive shot is staying in the game in some form. That was my favourite ability as a hunter. Your ranged auto attacks have a 5% chance to trigger Lock and Load, causing your next 2 aim shots to cost no focus to be instant. So yeah, as I suggested, basically you will still have that chance at aim shot instant, because people got too used to it with Hellfire Citadel. And yeah, it looks pretty interesting. We'll just finish this little bit up here. We hope you've enjoyed the early preview of the Hunter classes in World of Warcraft Legion. This first look should give you a good sense of what you can expect from the series. Though not every class is undergoing this level of change, some are receiving updates that will be more subtle, a sharpening of rough edges rather than the broadening reimagining of the fantasy we've demonstrated with the Hunters. Tomorrow the series continues with Priests, Mages, and Paladins. Wow, we're getting a lot tomorrow, so we'll have 3 videos up tomorrow. So briefly to summarize, I think that Marksman seems like a very interesting gameplay, a lot less spammy. There's easily a core rotation you can see coming into place. Big fan of that. I'm curious to see how they generate focus, because they haven't showed us anything which like passively gives you focus. So they might be just tied into waiting for it to refill, and then you just spam Arcane Shot with a small generator. Yeah, I'm guessing that's what it is. So you kind of just build up by spamming, you know, 5 at a time, and then dump it, refill. Okay, so there'll be quite a lot of skill in between keeping these 2 buffs active and generating at the same time, so that'll be quite interesting. Survival, I'm hyped to get Raptor Strike and Mongoose Bite back. I'm a little bit disappointed by Flanking Strike basically just being a kill command. Hopefully it has a little more flair, and hopefully we see more trap-specific things coming in through the talents. BM, however, I think BM actually looks really good, in all honesty. I think the way that the Dire Beast resetting and having loads of different beasts out, and the way that the more beasts we have out, the more powerful we become, that I see being really interesting. One thing I will point out, I wonder if the Way of the Cobra passive will scale with Stampede. And they say Pet or Guardian, so I'm assuming it will. Also, another point which would be quite interesting is if you go back to my Profession videos from the other day, they showed one of the new enchants on the neck summoned a Guardian for you. It summoned a Druid who you could augment through further enchants on your rings and cloak. So the fact they say Guardian implies that if you have this passive, you'll have a baseline 5% damage from your core pet, you'll have another 5% from your neck enchant, then you'll have another 5% for your Dire Beast, so you'll basically always be at 15%, and then if you happen to get further Dire Beast procs on top of that, it will just scale up, and then if you press Stampede, you're just going to gain a really sudden burst of damage. So that will be quite interesting, and potentially might need some tuning, but overall, I will say the Hunters are looking very good. So I'll leave a link down to this article down below if you want to read over it yourself in your own time. I'm Tarke. Thanks for watching, subscribe for more coverage, and bye-bye.